Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I will explain about integrated versus supplementary relative. The relative clauses considered so far have all been tightly integrated into the structure of noun phrase containing them. As such, they contrast with another kind of relative clause that is more loosely attached. The second kind we call supplementary relative clauses. This example illustrates in the contrast. Okay, I will explain about integrated first. Integrated relative, it provides indispensable information to identify the subject or object of a sentence. Without this clause, the sentence completely changes its meaning. It always comes immediately after the subject or object introduced by a relative pronoun. For example, politicians who make extravagant promises are not trusted. The underline who make extravagant promises is explain politician. The underline is explain about politician. The underline is a modifier who explain about the word before is the politician. And the second is supplementary relative. Supplementary relative, it provides additional information about the subject or object of the sentence that is not essential to identify them. It doesn't change the meaning of the sentence. It's separated by commas. For example, politicians who make extravagant promises aren't trusted. We can see at the underline who make extravagant promise. It's separated by commas. In here, nah kalau yang tadi integrated relative itu sebagai modifier, kalau yang di supplementary relative ini yang diapit oleh 2 koma ini menjelaskan kata di depannya. Jadi who makes extravagant promise menjelaskan politician, tapi cuma sebagai keterangan tambahan. Next yang selanjutnya adalah types of relative clause. Dibagi menjadi 2. Yang pertama yaitu restrictive dan non-restrictive. Yang pertama ini contoh dari restrictive yaitu Martha has 2 sons who are still at school and 2 who are at university. It means that Martha has 4 sons. Jadi kalau di sini itu restriktif itu mendefinisikan. Jadi who are still at school ini mendefinisikan 2 sons, dan 2 who are at university, underline who are at university ini menjelaskan tentang two-nya siapa, 2 sons-nya. Jadi anaknya Martha itu ada 4 gitu didefinisikannya. Sedangkan contoh dari non-restrictive yaitu Martha has 2 sons she can rely on and hence is not unduly worried. Di sini tidak mendefinisikan, jadi she can rely on ini juga mendefinisikan 2 sons tapi tidak terlalu mendefinisikan. Jadi di sini dibilang non restriktif, tidak seperti yang contoh pertama. Maksud saya Martha has 2 sons she can rely on and hence is not unduly worried. Having two sons doesn't necessarily keep a mother from worrying, but being able to rely on them does. Jadi maksudnya di sini itu dia underline-nya tidak menjelaskan tentang two sons-nya, makanya dia dinamakan non-restrictive. Okay, next is the differences between integrated and supplementary relative. The first is introduction and punctuation. The second is interpretation, and the last is syntax.
The next explanation is about the syntax. In addition to what we have just set out concerning the phonological and semantic fact about integrated and supplementary relative, there are also a number of syntactic differences, and we will mention four. The first is the relative versus non-relative. The second is antecedents allowed for supplementary relative. The third is which as pronoun or determinative, and the fourth is function. Which relative versus non-which relative is supplementary relative are almost always of the which type, and the bare construction is not allowed at all as supplementary relative. Second is the antecedent allowed for supplementary relative. Supplementary relative allowed a wider range antecedent than integrated ones. And for the example is John stopped at the museum, which never visited before. In the antecedents of which there is the preceding clause, and in our representation R is the which never visited before, and the R is interpreted as John is stopped at the museum. So for the second is John, who was never visited the museum before, was stopped in front of the museum. In the antecedent who is John, is we understand that John was never visited the museum before, and the proper nouns normally occur with integrated relative only if there is a determinant. Next is about which as pronoun or determinative, which occur in integrated relative only as a pronoun, but in supplementary relative it can also be determinative. For the example is this will keep us busy until Friday, by which time the boss will be back. That here the relative element is the which time. It is this element that differs its interpreter from the antecedent of the Friday. And the last is about the function. Integrated relative function as depend, more specifically modifier within the construction containing them. But supplementary relatives are attached for more loosely and indeed may constitute as separated sentences. For the example is our rent is due the next week, and second is which is why we should be going out to the dinner tonight, and where again and which has a clause as antecedent is which, and the which is we are sort going out to dinner tonight. Thank you.